way. What you're typically describing is blockbusting. Blockbusting happened a lot in the 1950s and 1960s. And what that was that as blacks began to move into a neighborhood, white real estate agents would find ways to scare people into moving out of the neighborhood, saying that if they would leave now, they'd get a better price for their house. During 1960 and prior to 1960, Brooklyn Park Boulevard was a line of demarcation between black and white. So that blockbusting started happening right after Chandler became desegregated. And then you could begin to see as whites left as part of white flight. Okay, because typically they would wind up moving to North Henrico or maybe East Henrico if they were going to move out of the city altogether. And there was an intimidation factor for people. In fact, in some of my research, I found that someone's car brake cables got cut in the white community right across from Chandler because they were not supporting the fierce line that people were having about keeping Chandler as a white school. So I'm really touched by your story with what you're sharing because it adds context to what was going on in a variety of places in Richmond. The neighborhood was in transition, and it was in transition because of white flight. And frankly, some of the black real estate agents were colluding and working with white real estate agents as a part of that, which was really interesting. If you can get them out of the home, then I'll sell it so we can both win because they were thinking the green dollar. Right? I just thought that might help to bring context because a lot of times we talk about gentrification and we also talk about diversifying the neighborhood when particularly during that time it was very clear that this was about pushing whites out because the neighborhood was starting to turn black. And part of that was not just pushing them out, but that was the fear factor that many whites had about their property values going lower. And that was one of the arguments that that people whites who did not want Chandler to become a desegregated school had, because property values were going to go down if people were next to blacks, and they could begin to see the push from Brooklyn Park Boulevard.